Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to the after party. That's right. This is the after Steelers preview party. Sometimes the after party is better than the actual party. That's where this whole thing got started. And we are going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers along with a bunch of other stuff. Trust me on that. We have Deputy Dave Schofield and Bryan Anthony Davis, Mr. Bad, here to talk about the Steelers to get things started. Frank Webb Lives says he's got his finny pants on and he's ready to go. He's got his top button is undone for the after party.
You know what? I was thinking about this in the last show. I think Jeff is actually Frank Webb Lives. I think he has on his phone. He's Frank Webb Lives.
Well, the funny thing is that Frank Webb is on the team, right? They did sign him again, yes.
I believe Ralph Webb might be. But...
Well, you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. He's actually on the team again. That's kind of exciting. If he would ever make it, I doubt he will. But still, here we are back for the after party. A lot of people are talking about their pants in the live chat and what pants they're wearing. Don't really need that conversation to get started, but still,
I'm not wearing pants.
Oh, well, that's even better. So let's get things kicked off. A question that I posed on Twitter. And you can follow our Behind the Steel Curtain Twitter feed at BT Steel Curtain. I kind of man that periodically during the season. I'm the one that uses it during the game, during the games. But I asked the question, which Steelers team was the best team to not win a Super Bowl? Now, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, wasn't that the year we did the best of the worst? And it was a bracket challenge where of the best teams that didn't win a Super Bowl. Did we not? Was it last year or 2 years ago?
I believe it was 2 years ago.
Okay. And it was kind of a dud. We thought it would be great. We thought people would kind of like the different approach and kind of a dud. Let's narrow this down a little bit. I want to know in your lifetime, okay, because I'm looking at on Twitter right now, and we had almost 300 comments on this one question. So a lot of people were bringing up 76, which... from everything I've read about that team, they were ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And the fact they didn't win at all is insane. But let's talk about in your lifetime, teams that you have actually seen play that you thought were the best team to not win at all. Dave, you know what? You have your answer?
Yeah, I have my answer. A lot of people are saying in the live chat. And that's because I got my heart ripped out with it at the stadium in 2017. That I feel between Al Riveron screwing the Steelers over to make them the 2 seed instead of the 1 seed, and then the Steelers going up against the one team that just seemed to be their kryptonite that year, because I was at the stadium for both of those games that year, that 2017 team just seemed to be so... offensively, and if you're a person that likes offense, then that's the one you're going to go with. That's just what comes to me off the top of my head. Is
they didn't have a great defense.
I mean, what they were 13-3, should have been 14-2. I mean, if you're looking at record, then you got to throw in 04.
Yep.
But that team just seemed to be more like riding a wave than just like the best. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's not jump on it. You only one answer per.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, as I say that, I'm giving you 2 answers. Look, that 1976 team, I didn't watch. I was too young. That wasn't my lifetime.
I wasn't born yet.
But here's the great thing about that. They're not my answer, but the great thing about that team is they had the best Steeler defense of all time. They started out 1-4, went on an amazing run where they shut people out like crazy. Then they lose Blyer. And they lose Franco Harris for the AFC Championship game, and it was they had nothing going. They couldn't do anything. Reggie Harrison was their running back. That was just a fantastic team. That should have been three wins in a row, and the Raiders ended up winning the Super Bowl based on the fact that those 2 guys were hurt. So that's just a shame that they lost those guys, but. Like Dave, I was in the audience and in the crowd in 2001, and got to watch Sheryl Crow sing "Soak Up the Sun" at halftime. They actually brought Sheryl Crow in at halftime in Pittsburgh, and they lost to the Patriots, and Troy Edwards, I hate you forever. Stepping out of bounds, they punt again, and Troy Brown takes it all the way home. That was a team that was 13-3. It was a team that I believe would have won the Super Bowl. I had tickets to the Super Bowl. We already had them in the lottery to New Orleans. Would have been able to see U2 at halftime. Would have been able to see the Steelers beat the Rams, but it wasn't to be. That was just that was the game that I always point to with Spygate, because I remember Jerome Bettis saying after the game, I was watching Fox Sports Pittsburgh or whatever it was back at the time with Stan Savran's show. And he's like, man, it was like they knew the plays before we even ran them. And I remember him saying that. And I was watching it like the day after the game, and I was like, oh, it was a crushing defeat. But that was just a tremendous year. That was the 9/11 year. And I really think they would have gone all the way.
I'm sorry. I've been absolutely mesmerized. I'm going through the comments of this tweet on my phone, and Grant Smith posted. He said, and I was going to say one of two teams, and it's basically the same team, just slight differences. 94, 95. 95 obviously goes to Super Bowl 30. I've talked about this team a lot on this show and on other shows. How that was like the first team that really got me into my fandom was that year. And it's a gif of Neil O'Donnell throwing that interception to Larry Brown, and it just was looping, and it's like I'm mesmerized by it. I can't fathom where he was throwing this football for the life of me. I can't. I mean, I'm watching this over and over again. There's not a receiver within 10 yards of the pass. Now, Brian Anthony Davis is the charter founding member of the Neil O'Donnell fan club. And go ahead and explain this to me, because I'm sure you have some explanation. This was awful. That team was so freaking good. And in so many ways, the defense was just nasty, angry. And oh my gosh, I can't stop watching this. Someone take my phone away. I can't. It's 10 yards away from anyone.
Put it on, Jeff.
I got to
step away from the phone. Step away from the phone.
Put it down. Put it down. I mean, that's awful.
Stop.
That's
Corey
awful.
Holiday ran the wrong route.
You're blaming it on a receiver? Come on.
Corey Holiday ran the wrong route.
If Neil O'Donnell
Corey Holiday was in there. Dave, I didn't hear what you said. I just talked over you. I'm sorry. But Corey Holiday was only in there because Ernie Mills had his head taken off. And was it Billy Bates that took his head off? And not only that, he tore his knee. So he was out for the rest of that game.
Yeah, but I guess I'm watching that. Okay. Neil O'Donnell drops back, plants his foot, turns. It's not like it's some hot route that he's just throwing the ball quick, a la Kurt Warner in Super Bowl 43 that gets picked off by James Harrison because he takes a gamble and drops back into coverage. He has time to look at the field, and he should see, oh my gosh, the guy is nowhere near where he's supposed to be. I'm not saying that the guy that you named ran. I'm not saying that the receiver didn't run a wrong route. I guess I'm expecting the quarterback would be able to see something and not throw the easiest pick six probably in Super Bowl history. But I'm going to have to go with 95. That team ripped my heart out.
I can't argue with any of you on that one. 17, 95. Hard to argue with 2001.
Yeah, well, see, my thing with 95, I still went into that game, with them being such big underdogs. I honestly did not expect them to win.
Yeah, but Dave, when they got that onside kick to start the
second
half,
like, oh my gosh,
they got it. They got this. We're going to do this. That's what everyone was like, holy cow, we're going to do this.
It was
going to
awesome.
do the unthinkable.
I was invited.
I'm like, nope, not going to happen. And as soon as I get hope, it's gone.
I was invited to 2 parties that day. And I was like, one was at a Cowboy fan's house, and the menu was absolutely tremendous. And I'm like, guys, sorry. It's not amateur night. The Steelers are in it. I'm staying at my apartment by myself and watching this game.
Ugh. You say by yourself? That would be depressing.
Oh, didn't care. I wasn't going to amateur night. No,
you're right. I know what you're talking about. Let me ask you guys this.
Going to a Cowboys house.
Let me ask you guys this. which team do you think was better, 94 or 95? Now, 94, they lose in the AFC Championship game to the San Diego Chargers. We all remember. Scott Hudson said he's getting pissed.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the after party.
I know, but I'm asking you guys, which team do you think was better? Like, which team do you think had was an overall better team? There weren't that many differences. 94, you had Barry Foster. 95 was Bam Morris. Little tweaks here or there. Brian, we'll go with you.
94, because you had a full year of Rod Woodson, not just a game.
That's true.
Where he was banged up.
Yeah.
A good point. Good point.
And you had Barry Foster.
I had more confidence in them to win it all going into the AFC Championship game in 94 than I did in 95.
Yeah.
Meaning that I just thought that it was, everyone expected the NFC to win it in 95. I mean, they might have in 94, but I just felt the Steelers.
Well, a lot of people would have.
A lot of people.
There's no way the Steelers would have been favored 94 either against the Niners.
No. But what I'm just saying that for some reason I just felt. I guess after what the Niners did in 94 is kind of what set me up for 95 to think that they couldn't do it.
Stan Humphries.
I don't think that Cowboys team was well coached in 95.
That was a Switzer. That was a Switzer team.
Yeah, it was Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
They weren't, that team was ripe for the picking.
But doesn't he cut faster than Ryan Switzer? Sorry. Sorry, that was the last show.
That's funny.
Now people are bringing up a game. It's funny. I got a text from Lance the other day. Might have been Monday. He said, I'm watching the 2010 Super Bowl. And I honestly, he said he hadn't watched it since the day that the game aired live. I haven't watched it either. I haven't watched it either. And he talked about the last throw, the last pass, which I still remember like it was yesterday. And Ben throws it. Mike Wallace gets to the sticks, turns around a little high. Not going to say it was a perfect throw. Goes right through his hands. Ball game. Now, I grew up my dad used to always tell me, if it hit your hands, should have caught it. Lance said no, it was a bad throw. Like Ben sucks. But yeah, it was. I still haven't watched that game.
It wasn't a perfect throw, but it still was.
I never said it was. But if my dad always says, if it hit your hands,
it would have been a better throw, but it still doesn't mean it shouldn't have caught it.
Man, that game was so winnable too.
Should have caught it.
Really, that game was winnable.
I mean, yeah. When you say Steelers have the ball with a touchdown to win it at the end of the game, if you would have told me that 3 hours before the game, I would have been like, sign me up. But
there are certain players that get me so angry in certain times that if I were to see them in public, I might actually try to do something. And Aaron Rodgers that season with his stupid belt thing that he did, oh my gosh, it made you want to hurt somebody. Maybe you want to hurt somebody. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady has been doing that to me for years. Like that's old hat. Tom Brady has been the fly in my ointment. And now, thankfully, he's not here anymore. He's in the NFC. Go torture the NFC South. Have fun. I don't care. But man, when Aaron Rodgers doing that the belt, oh my, he did it in the Super Bowl. Maybe when I punch someone, it's so angry. Still get angry. And Alfred's bringing up, hey, remember when Mendenhall fumbled? Yes, Alfred, we remember when Mendenhall fumbled. There was a missed block. That wasn't all on Mendenhall, by the way. David Johnson missed his block.
Got smashed.
David Johnson completely missed his block. Watch that play again, just that play. Look it up on YouTube, and you will see David Johnson completely whiff on the seal block on Clay Matthews. He makes the block. I guarantee if Mendenhall doesn't fumble, that was on the 22-yard line, and the game was completely turning around.
Who can you forgive more, Neil O'Donnell or Rashard Mendenhall? And I think it's Rashard Mendenhall.
Neil O'Donnell, I mean, he's up there with like in the 92-93 Pirates NLCS for me. Like Barry Bonds, Sid Bream, that play. Like there's not much. I was so young when those happened. Like I said, those are my childhood teams, As you get older, it still means something, but it doesn't mean as much. Would you all agree with that? We still want the Steelers to win. We're still big fans of the Steelers, but it doesn't keep me up at night, I guess, if that's what I'm saying. When I was a kid, man, I think I actually cried in 92-93 on the NLCS.
I cried
when
I was in college.
When Sid Bream crossed the plate and Spanky LaValliere couldn't get back because freaking Barry Bonds can't put a throw on the money from shallow left field. My boy Andy Van Slyke told him to move in, Brian,
and he gave him the
flipped
finger.
him off.
Son of a- I'm still mad about that.
I cried. I shed tears over that.
And I've got a buddy. And
every time I hear that, I still get like flashbacks.
This is a really sad story, but I've got a buddy that says, yeah, Sid Bream killed my grandma. When he crossed the plate, she died.
Yeah.
She had a heart attack and died.
Told us about
oh my gosh, it's horrible. And so I have another buddy that was at a state college game when he was coaching, when he was maybe a third base coach. I don't know whether it was for the state college Spikes or who it was. And he said something about 92. He's like, Sid Bream turns around and goes, buddy, you guys got to get over that. And it's like, no, we're not getting over that, Sid Bream. Shut up.
Seriously, Sid Bream, you won a World Series. You can shut up. All right. Guys,
hey,
what do
someone
you have
did bring up a really good point here.
What's that?
The thing that was even more disheartening is that the 04 Steelers, they then won a Super Bowl. The 95, no.
The 01 Steelers did not. And that was a good team. That was a good football team, as Brian mentioned. That was a good football team. And the 2010 group had won, obviously, in 2008 or 2009. So, yeah, you're right. And it's crazy to think now there's only one player on the Steelers now, the active roster, that has a Super Bowl win, not counting Wisniewski, who won 2 with other teams. He's the only one that's won 1 with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let me ask you this.
Until this season, just so you know. They're winning it all this
year. If he's healthy, do they win that game?
Yeah, because they started Legursky in 2010, right?
Yeah, because Pouncey got hurt.
And he got pushed around a lot. BJ Raji, wasn't it him that was
BJ Raji, yep.
Yeah.
And that pick 6 might have not happened if Pouncey's there.
You're right. Gosh, I don't know. You almost forget that'll happen. That was the Young Money crew too, with Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown and Mike Wallace at the receiving core. It was a good football team. A really bad offensive line, though. Really bad offensive line.
Quick question: is Ben the only Steeler left that played in that game?
Well, played in the game.
Pouncey didn't play.
Pouncey didn't play.
He's got to be, right?
Yeah. Because Hayward wasn't drafted until after that year.
Hayward was 11. Yeah.
So, yeah.
He wasn't 11 years old.
He was the 31st pick. He was that next draft. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about something a little bit different, a little bit more upbeat. Who has something
to
be good? Go ahead, Dave.
I got it. Because mine's still dealing with sports, and it ties into the Steelers a little bit. Nice little fun article that I did last night that a lot of people enjoyed was one newly acquired Pittsburgh Steeler Derek Watt had to choose a New Jersey number because I got a new uniform number. Because when you say New Jersey, people just think you're talking about New Jersey. Sorry,
forget about
it. Yeah,
sorry.
Because he could not use there's no way you're going to get Terrell Edmonds to give up 34. He has no reason to give it up. So Derek Watt had to go with a New Jersey number. I said it again, didn't I?
It's okay. His
only options that was anywhere close would have been either 44 or 35. He could have gone up 1 number on the second digit or up 1 number on the first digit. Couldn't inverse the digits because then he would have been 43, and you can't do that in Pittsburgh. So he went with 44, which was very good. And I was going to ask you guys, were you the same way? Brian, back in junior league football, and Jeff, with your legendary pick 6
I might tell that story by the end of the show, just so you know. It's a great story.
Were you guys were you sold on your number so much so that was the number you had to be, or was it just it's just a number? And what number were you?
Oh, I was a number guy.
I know that Brian. You were for baseball. You already told us that one.
Yeah,
you were number
21.
21.
You were Clemente. You were 21. Did you have to have that number at all times?
Yeah. Yep. And I made sure of it when I became a varsity, when I got my varsity letter, no one had 21. I got real lucky. And so snagged that number, had it my sophomore, junior, senior year when I was on a varsity member of the baseball team. And it's funny, softball, I'm 7 because someone had 21 before on the softball team. But I'm cool with 7. But I am a big numbers guy. Numbers is important to me. Brian, what about you?
My final baseball number and I quit playing when I was 12, not because I wanted to quit, because I sucked. I was horrible.
You took my story. That's my story. It's about
okay. Well, I wore number 13, but I can tell you every number I wore in Little League. I wore 1, 2, 2. No, actually, 36, 1, 2, 2, and 13 when I was in the majors. I played for the team, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox and Dodgers in 82 and 84 won championships. So I was on 2 championship teams, but I wasn't that good. But I was a lot better in football. I played for a team called the American Outfitter Eagles. We were red, white, and blue. So I played for the Eagles, and I was an 80-pound nose tackle, and on offense, I was an end and end/receiver. But, it wasn't a high-flying offense back then. But I wore I never got to pick my number, but I was so proud of my number. I was 76 first, which I loved it because it was John Banaszak. But even better, my last year that I played in 8th grade, I was number 68, and I was LC Greenwood, and I loved it. And I played on the defensive line, and I was also a receiver, and I loved wearing number 68. I wanted to get 13, it just wasn't available.
Dave, what about you?
Well, I was always assigned numbers was my biggest thing. With baseball, I'm trying. I think I was 12 in Little League, but I can't remember for sure. I know when I was the next couple of years I played in Pony League before I stopped playing, I was 3. I know 7th grade basketball, I was 3. In 8th grade basketball, I was so frustrated because we were an expansion team. And we went undefeated and won the championship, of course, because I was 6'2" in middle school. So no one was anywhere close to my size. But they just did the numbers by size. And there was 8 guys on the team. So they just numbered them 1 through 8. So I ended up with number 8 for basketball. I'm like, whoever wears number 8 for basketball? So little did I realize that, not even 10 years later, people would be fighting over number 8 for basketball. But I always just got assigned a number. My varsity basketball number was 44. So that's part of the reason why I liked that Derek Watt was 44. But what was ironic was my sister was only 1 year older than me, and she was a phenomenal girls basketball player. She was a power forward, and she just rebounded like crazy and bounced people around. That's because she had to play against my brother and I all the time. My brother, who's 3 years older than her, and me, I was younger, but just big. And she was tough, and she had always played with the boys. So she just tore up in girls basketball. She was 44. So my mom's favorite picture of my sister and I was both of us in a picture together and both wearing the same number. But for football in youth league, they didn't give you a number based on your position. I said it before. Our team was the Steelers, and I was number 83. I was Louis Lips at the time. But then in high school, I was just assigned a number, which Brian actually had. We had the same number. That's a little bit. It's partially why I'm a little. I give a little grace to one Chukwuma Okorafor, because I was also number 76 in high school.
Kevin Henry
to start the season. To start the season, I actually had 2 numbers because I was also they thought I might be the reserve tight end for 2 tight end schemes, and they had me where I was going to have to change jerseys during a game, but then I didn't have to because I was the starting left tackle anyway, so I didn't bump out to that. So, but then I was a track and field guy, and we don't have numbers. But in college, we were assigned a number for our equipment, and for 4 years, I was number 13. So
there you go.
We didn't actually wear those numbers. So, and now I'm number 55 for softball, because I'm slow and I want people behind me to know, what do you think of when you see 55?
I'm actually
I'm going too fast. Player. I better slow down. That's the speed limit. So I wear 55. So guys running behind me know that they need to slow down because,
and you guys have never invited me to play, and I'm a really good softball player.
You just said you sucked at Little League. Like, why would I invite you to ever play
I sucked at Little League
softball if you were an awful Little League player? Like,
because I'm a really good softball player.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can come out and try out.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee you're going to make the team. We've won the championship 3 years in a row. I mean, just saying.
That's it. The middle division championship.
How many championships have you won down the lower bracket?
We've come in second place 2 years in a row.
The lower bracket.
Guess what?
Look at Mr. High and Mighty talking about his high bracket.
No, see, Jeff's team tanks the season to where they only win I think what were
That's
you
not
guys?
true.
6
That
and
is not
14?
true.
So you wouldn't
How
have
many
to play in
games
that
did you
upper
win against the
division
A
tournament,
bracket?
and then you win the middle one.
Look at this. Can you all see this photo? Look at that photo. That's Jeff Hartman in 8th grade football.
There you go.
Look at that stud. 81. I was a receiver and a cornerback. The idiot coaches had the jersey sizes based on the number. So instead of saying, well, our linemen are going to be our biggest guys, I was number 81, which is a receiver number, and it was a gigantic jersey. Just huge. Just huge. But I agree. I made that play. It's still talked about today back in Wheeling, West Virginia. Just saying. It's the greatest play ever, I think, in 8th grade history. But I digress. We won't get into that tonight. Brian, what do you have for the good of the order? Anything?
Well, I was just going to say how the men in the hills sing about Jeff's pick six.
Actually, it's the holler, not the hills. The men of the
holler. Oh, yeah, West Virginia, the holler, where the men are men and the sheep are really nervous and some of them are excited. With that being said, I did live in West Virginia for 10 years, so don't take.
Still not from West Virginia,
yeah, I'm not claiming to be. I'm Pennsylvania born and bred, baby. I might be a Marylander now, but Pennsylvania born and bred. So let's go back to when what really sparked us having the after party, the either or. And we get really crazy in the either or. And one of the reasons Bryan Anthony Davis is known as bad is because of the either or. So we're going to have a classic bad either or.
Oh boy.
Gentlemen.
Can't wait.
If your wife were to leave you for one of the current Pittsburgh Steelers, which one would be the most disheartening?
Okay, go for it.
I'm asking you.
Oh,
so
it's an open-ended question? I thought it was an either or.
Oh, either or?
You have to give us two.
Now let's just go open-ended. Let's go open-ended.
I was like, how do you preface this with either or and then you don't give us the either or?
Okay, you're right. It's just the bizarre question of it.
All right, Ezra says one of them. Ezra. One of them says Switzer, and then one of them says Dan McCullers. So there you go. Your wife is
dude.
Talk about total opposite ends of the spectrum.
I'm going with Cameron Canaday.
Why Cameron Canaday?
A long snapper. I mean, come on.
Okay, so the question was, who would we be disappointed?
Yeah, who would be the most disheartening? What would be the worst scenario for you to lose your wife to?
Well, the guy Steelers Pittsburgh just stole my answer. It's a guy that I don't like, and he plays an idiot position too, Jordan Berry. If she were leaving Jordan Berry, he's an unattractive man. He plays a horrible position.
With that accent from down under and
Jennifer Lopez.
Rub some Vegemite on her.
Oh my God. So what do you say, Brian?
Me? I'm gonna go with Zach Banner. Because he's a hulk of a man and he's entertaining. And that would kill me. I mean, look, anybody could out-sexy me. That's fine. But if you're funnier than me, that's gonna really piss me off.
All right, Mark Davison, who is in Australia, says straight facts. The accent works 100% of the time.
Mark Davison is pulling in the honeys.
Yeah, he is. It's really early down under there too. What's up, Dave?
That's another movie that Jeff says that he's never watched.
What's that?
When we talked about Christmas movies that Brian listed, which was Love Actually, because one of the guys who could never land any chicks in England comes to the United States just because of the accent. He could walk into any bar and pick up any girl. And who were the actresses that he ended up? Yeah, he went back to their house, and I'm trying to remember who it was.
Christine
it was the one
Taylor,
girl. The girl that played the daughter on 24.
24, yeah. And she's on Cuthbert. Alicia Cuthbert. Yeah. She's on the ranch now. So
but it was just this goofy British guy, but just thought he spent all his money to go to America just so he could pick up an American girl because of the accent. And he comes back with, who was the girl he came back with? Was that Denise Richards?
Either Denise Richards or Supermon. I mean, it was just like
crazy.
I mean, they were like super hot chicks.
Yeah, you would
Christine
appreciate
Taylor.
that part of the movie, Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff, it really is a great movie. You're not giving it.
Mystery Alaska has 2 losses.
Mystery Alaska was a good.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to get off of that, but it was the whole accent idea.
I'm telling you, Mystery Alaska. Oh, he's Australian too. Gyro.
I tried to bring it up. I don't know if it worked.
Gyro says, if my wife leaves me for Randyland. That's great.
Yeah, but Randyland's not going to know what to do if Ben's there. It's going to be a menage. Ben's going to be there to help out. And then you get that big beard. In fact, I don't think Randy's ever had any action without Ben. Randy was a... Okay, for
your wife's already going to get her back.
The same move every time.
I think of George Costanza.
That's his move. Oh my gosh, this is good. This is a good either or, even though you didn't give us an either or.
Yeah, it was just the spirit of the thing.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Oh my goodness. I felt like it was my turn to have a bracket this week, and I didn't do it at all. There you go. Whatever. I know that I asked earlier in the show, does anyone have any questions for the show?
Frank Webb. Wait, not it. There you go.
With a swirl. Exactly. With a swirl.
Isn't there
right.
a pop? There's a pop.
Yeah. It's like a frightened turtle. All right. I asked questions for the show, and a couple people had some questions for us. Gyro asked, are all the spots of the mock filled? Brian, update us on that, please.
They are all filled at this point. Chandler was the last one to come in and having the 33rd spot. However, show up to the show. If you do want to go ahead and still email me, you're going to be put on the waiting list. Look, okay. I'd be shocked if we don't have some no-shows. There's going to be some no-shows. So go ahead. I'm going to start.
Life happens.
I'm going to start putting a waiting list together and still show up. It's going to be a fun show. And Michael O'Malley, no, I'm going to have some veto power. So like if you get the if you're like Tony and want to draft a punter for the Ravens or the Patriots, you can't. We're going to veto a player. You cannot draft Terrell Edmonds again. That's that would be really bad. But so yeah, we're going to go ahead and we want it to be like a serious, fun thing all at the same time. We don't want to just give somebody a long snapper at number 1 overall, because I mean that would just ruin the draft.
Right.
So, but anyways, please still sign up. We're going to have plenty of opportunities for you to get in, because there's some people that, like Dave said, life happens, won't be there. We'll get you in. And if you don't think you can show up and the next thing you know, you're there's an open spot, it's yours.
Very good. All right. Steeler fan 74 says, what pro sport would you play and what position, Dave?
Okay. What did he say?
What pro sport would you play and what position?
If I could do any pro sport?
Yep. You can check any pro sport.
Oh, come on. I'd want to play football and I'd want to play offensive tackle. That's what I'd want to do. Although my shoulders could not.
It's not right now, Dave. Just it's hypothetical.
Oh, dude, even in my mid-20s, my shoulders were done.
What about you, Brian?
If I had good shoulders, I'd be ready to go.
I'd want to play football, and I'd want to be a fullback.
Okay, fullback. That's cool. A la Dan Kreider, or are you going a la Rocky Blyer?
Oh, John L. Williams. I'm going to catch the ball out of the backfield, where I want to pummel someone and open a hole.
There you go. This is a tough
offensive line's where it at. You're always delivering the hits. You're not getting hit. You're delivering the hits.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Dave.
That's the best play.
You get that opportunity for that one run smash in on the goal line. You get a chance to be a goal line back. You could catch it out of the backfield and shock everybody like Nix and Kreider and those guys used to do. There's so many. You can do so much. You're versatile.
Everybody knows Willie Parker's 75-yard touchdown run in the Super Bowl, but real fans know it was the Alan Faneca block.
I'll agree with you on that.
So I'd be fine being the Alan Faneca.
I'm going to go with being a professional golfer because I don't. You make a lot of money. You make a lot of money if you're good, and
you're not getting cracked.
You're not going to be diving head-on collisions or anything like that. All right, let's hear. Someone else had another question here. What are the chances the Steelers trade pick 49 for more mid to low tier picks in the upcoming draft, Brian?
I just don't see it happening. There's actually a good possibility that does happen, but I think they want a player. I think they want a player no later than 49.
Yeah. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I don't think they're going to move at all. I don't think they're trading, at least not the second round pick. Just me asked, did anyone play anything other than baseball or football? Now we know that I played lacrosse in college. I've said that I've been golfing since I was like 7 years old, probably. My family's a family of golfers. Anyone else play any other sports? I played hockey as well. Ran track. I know Dave did track.
I did. Well, you really want me to go through the list?
What did you?
I played football. I ran.
Let's say middle school and on.
Middle school and on. I played football. I ran cross country. I played basketball. I wrestled. I played baseball. I did track and field. I was a state champion in track and field, and then that's what I did in college.
There you go. What about you, Brian Anthony Davis?
I played intramurals in college. Soccer. I don't know if that counts. I played in a adult kickball league just a few years ago, but I was a band guy. I played bass drum in the band, and I played cymbals one year, and I actually cut my nipple in 1987. It was a horrible cymbals accident. And
is it because you go crazy when you hear the cymbal?
And a hi-hat with souped up tempo. I'm on a roll. Time to go solo. No, it was just, and here's the worst part. The band director. So we were our band when I was in high school. One of the reasons I quit playing football and joined the band and started playing drums was because we were going to Ireland my freshman year. We got a chance to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade in two cities, Dublin on St. Patrick's Day in 1986. So it was like just a great opportunity. I went and did that. And we were, in my senior year, we were third out of 9 states. It was that big of a deal, that band. So I really have great memories of marching band and playing. But the band director would tape every practice. And because this guy was a football player and a coach, and he had an injury, and he wanted to be a coach. And then he ended up, after his injury, going into band because he was a great drummer. And he approached it like he was a football coach. So he taped everything. And they call me in the office. They're like, come here, got to show you something. And what happened here? And you just see me. And I remember the song we were playing was from Sound of Music. It was My Favorite Things. And it was like towards the end, and you're going crazy where you're going, and I see one. I'm like, ah! And I whipped down the cymbals, and I'm running around in the back, and he had it on videotape. And he goes, now I'm going to play this back, and we're going to show it again. And I was like, ah. He's like, yeah, that's going to stay with you a long time, son.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. Another question. Leonardo asked, what's the best book about the Steelers? I talked about this. My favorite is Their Life's Work, which was written by Gary Prominence. And he is a friend of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. I think Neil Coulon, the former editor, actually did a review for him on his book. If you want to find it quickly, if you go to BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, scroll down about halfway through, you'll see 10 items to get you through quarantine. It's the first item. and you can click on the link and purchase the book through Amazon. It is all about the Steel Curtain, the dynasty of the 1970s, everything from Chuck Noll to the unbelievably horrible ending to Mike Webster's life, into great detail. This guy just doesn't tell about what they did. He interviews family. He talks to them if they're still alive. Unbelievable book. That's my favorite. Guys, do you have any other ones that you like in particular?
Three Bricks Shy of a Load came out in 1973. Roy Blunt Jr. wrote it, and he wrote a lot of books about the Steelers. That was the very first national book coming out about the Steelers, and they were. It was a really cool book because they were kind of a dysfunctional bunch, and it was really cool. Another book, Steeler book that I read, none of you have ever heard of. I found on the dollar rack. It was about the 1986 Steelers. Bubby Brister was it was called Lost Sundays, and Bubby was a rookie, and it was a really bad team, but they had a lot of heart. And I actually, that's a book that I want to pull out again and read.
Dave, you read any Steeler books?
I'm going to throw one out there that you're not going to expect because it wasn't strictly a Steeler book, but one of my favorite books that I've ever read was Tony Dungy, Quiet Strength, but it talks about his time with the Steelers.
Yeah, that was a good
which
book.
is a great portion of that book, and I really enjoyed that book. Just seeing everything about that, and then moving on with his coaching, everything, which also started with the Steelers. So I wouldn't call it a Steeler book, but it is a book that has a lot to do with the Steelers.
There you go. Here's a real question. How does Pittsburgh pay for Minka, TJ, Dupree, Juju, and Sutton? I will go and say they don't. They can't. Mm-hmm. Most people on this show will agree that they think that Bud Dupree is a one-year rental. So therefore you wouldn't be paying him any after this year. Minka still has 3 years of control.
I could make a case that they can do all the other 4.
Outside of Bud?
Yeah, outside of Dupree. Because the best thing you could do right now is to sign Sutton for 3 more years before the season starts, because he hasn't started and hasn't played a ton. You could get him for a better deal. I think out of those, the biggest question would actually be Juju.
Juju can't be expecting, Amari Cooper money, can he? I don't think so.
Here's the great thing about Juju. He is such a brand right now. He is making money hand over fist with all of the stuff that he's doing. So maybe if he's who we think he is, that he takes a team friendlier deal.
We'll see. I don't know.
Can I say something else?
Yep.
This is a little bit off topic, but kind of. It's about Bud Dupree. People can't have it both ways. Now, granted, it might not be the same person saying both things, but you hear a lot of people saying stuff. I put an article out there about the Steelers said they want to sign Bud Dupree long term. That's what they should look to do, but it's got to be less than per year than what he's going to make on the franchise tag. If that's not going to be the case, then they shouldn't. A lot of people say, no, Dupree should be a 1-year rental. Dupree should be a 1-year rental. Dupree should be a 1-year rental. And then people are turning around saying, why would the Steelers draft an outside linebacker this year? Well, that's exactly why. If Bud Dupree is a 1-year rental and the Steelers, and there's and one of your top players, I'll be honest with you, you could have even one of those running backs, if you know what I mean, that's available at 49. But if a top tier edge rusher's out there, don't be shocked if the Steelers don't do that instead. Just because of the Bud Dupree factor. You can't have it both ways to say that the Steelers shouldn't be looking for an outside linebacker this year and Bud Dupree is a 1-year rental. It's either one, it can't be both. It really can't. Sorry.
I agree.
I just had to go with that.
No, I get it. I agree. I can't argue that.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, anything else for the good of the order before we call it a show?
I'm satisfied.
Very good.
One question, Brian. Did it leave a scar?
No, I do not have a scar. I have 3 scars that I've gotten in the last 5 years from doing, 2 from my car. from opening the car door. And actually, I opened a door at a restaurant on my head, and I have a scar. So I have 2 scars up here from that, and then I have one right here. But the nipple's intact. In fact, I could still be a chest model.
That reminds me of the scene of the episode of The Office when they do the 5K run for rabies, and Andy has to tape his nipples because of chafing.
Dude, they seriously do that.
No, I know they do, but at the end of the run,
but I'm saying I've worked.
Got blood on his shirt.
Dude, that's the most disgusting thing that we see. I used to do a first aid, or not first aid, just a station. There's the JFK Ultra Marathon runs around in this area, and we used to have the station at the 30-mile marker, and you would see people coming through in like awful shape after running 30 miles and still had 20 more miles to go. And it was just like, I don't understand why people would ever want to do that. And it was gross.
It's all fun and games, my friend, till the nipple hemorrhages.
Well, that's why Michael Scott taught us all how to carbo load as he ate that fettuccine Alfredo right before the race. That's a great episode. So good. All right. With that said, gentlemen, we thank you for this. Remember, next week we will be not live streaming because the NFL would come after us. We will be having a watch party for the NFL draft round 1. And make sure you tune in because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of this as we watch the draft together. So if you're looking for hardcore analysis, it might not be your show. If you're looking for a lot of fun and funny comments, if Brian's there and the 3 of us are there, you'll get plenty. So I hope you enjoy it, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Everyone stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.